Welcome into the KSR Football Podcast presented by Friends of Cole. Nick Roush, Adam Luckett, and Drew Franklin with you here on a Monday. Fortunately, our pal Van Hiles had his power go out right before the show. So it's a little bit bigger. It's kind of hard to podcast when you don't have power. So we're letting Van take care of that. And we're here to talk to you today about Kentucky's 48-23 victory over the Fighting Eagles of Eastern Michigan on Saturday night. The Cats got right, and it felt oh so good. Oh so good. We're here to talk about it all. Drew, how you doing today?
Doing great. A little tired. Long weekend. Very, very, very long weekend. I was doing some bourbon and beyonding with you. And then, of course, the three of us did the usual late night on Saturday. But it's football time in the Bluegrass. What sleep? Who needs it?
Nobody. We're definitely not us. That's what coffee's for. And we got plenty of it. I enjoyed the bourbon and beyond though. It was nice. The new setup, very cool. You'll be shocked to hear this, Drew, but I found out that they weren't necessarily checking bags. Like if you had clear bags, you could bring in things. I just wish I had known sooner. I would have brought in a lot more things.
Things that might be served there for a high price.
Yes, well, and that includes food. A sandwich, right? Yeah, I don't want to spend $20 for a corn dog. I gotta admit, Thursday night I had imbibed, I had indulged, and I needed something to get in the stomach, to kind of give me some balance, add some equilibrium to the situation. And I went to buy a corn dog, and it was one of those booths that was like wild corn dogs, and they had like 10 different kinds of corn dogs. And I'd imbibed, and I'm looking at the menu, and I'm like, just give me a corn dog. Like I don't need anything fancy. Just give me a corn dog. So the one up top, it was a cheese dog, and I'm like, oh, with a little bit of cheese, hell yeah, sign me up. This is the cheapest one. Bada boom, bada bam. This is going to be awesome. Get my corn dog, take a bite, and I'm like, oh, there's cheese inside of it. That's a fun little addition to the corn dog. And then I took another bite, and there was more cheese, and I was like, okay, where's the hot dog? There was no hot dog. It was just cheese. It was like a KS bar cheese log times infinity with cheese everywhere. I was distraught.
Was it the stringy like mozzarella cheese or like Cheese Whiz yellow gooey cheese?
It was the mozzarella. Okay. But that's not bad, but I needed the dog. I need the salty. The cheese wasn't going to help my situation at all. It was just going to make things worse. And it was so bad. My friends were taunting me. The next day, they were sending me pictures of them eating corn dogs. I had to go and just make myself a corn dog this weekend because I was so upset about it. So everything about Bourbon Beyond, good, except for the corn dogs that aren't real corn dogs.
I didn't eat there because I would need to pick up another job to afford to eat there. But I did have a great time. There's been a lot of talk of the setup. I'd never been before. This was my first Bourbon and Beyond, so I can't do a lot of comparing. But I thought, aside from the beer being $18.95, I thought it was a pretty smooth operation. Not waiting in a lot of lines, music good. Mm-hmm. So it was a nice buffer around our football game on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Great time, great hang. Just especially in the city of Louisville, running into so many people, I was able to get up close to see Nathaniel Ratliff, Lake Street Dive. They were great. And then there's other shows that you don't really care about, but it's like, sure, I'll go listen to Blues Traveler. Why not? And hey, it's a good time. It was a lot of fun. So if you haven't been before and you're like, I'm not really a music festival guy, there was one person who said there was like a sports bar there and they were watching games on Sunday, in between. Yeah, it's enormous. So there's a lot of room to go and explore. So if that tickles your fancy, I know the Louder Than Life is this weekend. That's Shannon the Dude's wheelhouse. Not necessarily mine, but if you want to go hang out and have a good time, it is a very nice setup, a fun weekend getaway type deal.
Luckett, how was your Sunday, bud?
I enjoyed it until about, 8 p.m. or so. But Oh well, what are you gonna do? I'm living proof of the scene between Paulie Walnuts and Christopher Moltisanti. When Christopher asked Paulie, Do you ever think anything good's ever gonna happen? No. So what?
Just keep going.
Keep going. I'm still
mean,
breathing. And so that's you just got to take it. I personally, you want Burrow, but I enjoyed the Jake Browning experience last time. Sure, it'll be a roller coaster again, and we got the roller coaster in the Brown. It was the most Jake Browning game I think he's played yet. 3 picks, 6-minute bleed the clock touchdown, 95-yard touchdown drive, and with 2 4th-down conversions. It was like, well, this is the Browning experience. This is what I'm going to have the rest of the football season. So what? Going to enjoy it.
One more NFL and Sunday note before Roush, you lead us through the Eastern Michigan talk. I was in Louisville all day yesterday by myself. I couldn't go to Bourbon and Beyond because I had to work until about 8. But I went and watched the 1 o'clock slate of games on 4th Street Live.
Oh.
I know it's not exactly a beacon of entertainment these days, but like that place is not good at all. Like no one was there. I won't name the place I ate unless I just did, but the food was terrible. Like it was a really horrible experience in downtown Louisville. So it was an exciting witching hour in that first round of games, but the city of Louisville, specifically 4th Street Live, wow, ghost town. Figure it out.
Did they at least have the giant sports bar? Is that place still open?
Yeah, that's where I went. And the food was terrible. Also,
yeah.
Cowboys, Giants are in overtime, and they changed the game. So I had that going for me. Last leg of the parlay, and they changed the game.
Shouldn't they have enough TVs at a sports bar to play all of the NFL games?
Luckily, there was a very obvious reaction from the handful of other people that were there. But it was just another example of what is going on here. Why you just saw the 64-yard field goal, and now you want to check in on, I don't know, some West Coast game, whatever it was?
We were, like middle school when 4th Street Live first opened, Is that right?
That sounds right. Like,
yeah,
I would say like 02 to 01 to 03 was probably when it opened.
Because like in the 50s, 60s, 4th Street was the happening place. And even before, you had like the Seelbach and Brown Hotel around there. And so this 4th Street Live was going to bring it all back. And there for a while, it was rocking and rolling. Like if you knew people that went to U of L, they'd hit up Sully Saloon. Like that place was rocking.
Yeah.
Even when I got out of college, one year we did New Year's Eve. It was one of those like all you can drink things. And it was like, man, this is pretty fun for 4th Street, but it is it's not great anymore.
No.
Hey, you can do a radio show there. So at least you can do that.
Yeah, we do have iHeart headquarters there. Sully's, that was a name drop. That took me back to an era of my life that has some blurry evenings in Louisville. Is Hal at the Moon?
Saloon.
Yeah, I always joke Sully's. I didn't like going there because I just getting yelled at for 3 hours by the DJ.
I was more of a Hal at the Moon guy.
There was a couple of Louisville basketball players I would see in there.
Oh yeah,
all the time. So
my wife was usually hanging out with them. They had their back corner. It was almost like the corner at Tin Roof in Lexington.
Yes,
like that was where
it was very much. It was very much the version of that. And so me and my friend group might have called one of them. Just his name was Sully's, like when we saw him or when he was on TV. Wasn't his real name. We just called him Sully. There's old Sully. Was
this the same guy who was the greatest 3-point shooter since Tony Delk?
No, but that guy was there too.
Yeah. Just so you know, Roush, that's also who I was thinking of when he said it. So that guy's got a brand. He's got a good brand.
There was 2 or 3 of them. I mean, that you would have thought they lived there, honestly. And I was there a lot more than I would have liked to have been that time of my life. But yeah.
Oh man,
I'm just now realizing we don't need to do it today, but maybe we have a 4th Street Live podcast in our future with stories, because I have several I could untap if need be. But I guess we probably should talk a little football.
We really missed the golden opportunity last year, Kenny Payne, to just go to a little basketball game and record a live podcast.
Yeah. We could
have hid in a section of the arena where they wouldn't even found it. No one would have even found us. I went to the I went to the Kentucky Louisville game that year as a fan, and it was maybe 60% full, maybe.
And 40% were Kentucky fans.
Yeah. That was when we had, Vince was with Joe Kraft when he was wearing blue. So I remember seeing Vince there, and then just like kind of shocked. And then there's sections, they wouldn't even like let you walk into a section like up top. Like it just had no tickets.
Oh man. I miss the Kenny Payne era. Really do miss it. It's good times. 4th Street. Oh man, really takes me back, which, brings us back to the initial conversation of just the music festival fun, but there is my threshold is much lower than it used to be. Drew, I'm getting too old for this, it's just, we're going to Columbia in a couple weeks and I'm going to forget that. And I'm going to be feeling it on Saturday morning because I think that I'm still 27 and I'm not even close to it.
I still have the mentally, I'm locked in. I still have my fastball, still have the energy. I can still hang, but the body has moments where like we're not doing this. And being on that concrete at Bourbon and Beyond, especially Thursday, we were going to try to stay till the end of Lumineers. And my wife looked at me, "You want to leave?" And I was like, "I physically can't stand here any longer." The standing up on the concrete wore me down. So even though I like to think I still have it, and I think I do deep down inside, the old back and the knees sometimes have other ideas and they want to go sit down.
I've always wondered this. When you become, because I'm a bad back guy. I had a back injury in high school. If you become a bad back guy, can you ever not be a bad back guy? Like, are there things that Drew and I can do to where we can become good back guys, or are we just bad back guys forever?
Mine was really bad years ago, and it's gotten better. Part of it was a little physical therapy, a little weight loss, but it's never good. There's still days like just walking to my car last night, I was about to get on all fours, and just in that mass of people, you almost saw me crawling outside the South Wing B to my vehicle because I was absolutely dead, and I wasn't even there that long.
Nick, I don't know about you, but that drive home, that one was a rough one. That was probably the roughest one I've had. I was like, this isn't good. This is going to be a long year.
Did you see any deer?
Did not see any deer, thankfully. But I was halfway through 64, and I was like, this sucks. I thought about getting a hotel. That crossed my mind. I'm not going to lie, as I was passing Frankfurt.
I had a moment, like, I'm now having to get up in the press box to stretch during games, which I see myself like, I'm like, what are these people around me have to be like, what is he doing? But you got to do what you got to do. And we got to talk about the actual game, Kentucky and Eastern Michigan. That was a fun, nice little start. Old school KSR Football Podcast where we don't talk about the football, but we'll get into the football and the X's and O's of it all. That's what Friends of Cole is paying us here for, right? They're here for the KSR Football Podcast, Kentucky Football Talk, and they're also here to support one of the largest industries in the Commonwealth, the coal industry. Friends of Coal is an organization that just brings people together to support the coal that's reliant, resilient, and it's played a role in our past. It's going to play a role in our future too. Coal's resilient, reliable, and it's affordable. It's a volunteer organization, and everyone's invited to be a part of it, whether you're a Kentuckian or not. Just go to friendsofcoalkentucky.org to learn more about Friends of Coal. We had the first game of the Cutter Boley era, and if I told you before the game he only completed 12 passes, you'd be like, oh, so we're still doing this? But what happened, Luckett, is the 12 passes were mostly long passes. So 12 for 240, threw for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. All in all, I think that was a pretty good start to the Cutter Boley era. Mr. Luckett, what do you think of number 8's first start of the 2025 season?
Yeah, 8 of those completions, Nick, were explosive plays. Boley averaged 10 yards per drop back on the final sheet. That was the highest number from a Kentucky passer since week 3, 2023. Devin Leary was up at 11, 12 yards per drop back against Akron. So wow. I know the now it's part of the reason that number's high is no sacks, right? Like they protected him. Again, the offensive line, I think, played well again. So that's what you had. It was the best performance from a passing game standpoint that Kentucky's had just from that metric in a while. I think you saw what you needed to see to me, and offensively, I think you saw the concepts of the plan here, which is run the football and then Cutter Boley 20 to 25 dropbacks, but really making those dropbacks count and trying to get some explosive plays. We saw him hit, Willie Rodriguez up the seam on a 4 vertical. One play that wasn't a touchdown, but was one of his better plays, was holding the ball and then flipping it out to Kendrick Law there, and he had room to run after the catch. And then I think really I still need to go back and watch the tape, but the only thing that really popped out to me was those 2 throws, I believe, in the second quarter. One was like a deep out, and the other one was to the sideline. Those were dangerous throws, both of them. But other than that, I think he played with poise, and I think you saw him, what he can do. And what I think might get you excited was he just gives his guys a chance. Even if there aren't, he's going to throw them to them and give them a chance. And you saw that with some of the throws to Josh Caddis, and then even I think some of the other throws down the field. And so good first performance. To me, Nick, I go back to what we saw in the open practices. He looks more comfortable out there on the field. He just looks more comfortable. He just feels like he's playing with more confidence. And you saw, I think, some of that played out, and I think it was a good first performance from him. And now we need to see what he can go do against an SEC defense. But the offense checked every box you would want them to check against against a bad defense. They scored 48 points on essentially, I think, 11 possessions, right? I think they punted maybe once or twice and finished drives in the red zone. And so they did everything you want them to see, and it wasn't just the run game carrying them all game. They actually made some throws and created some explosive plays.
Yeah, and you mentioned the deep out in the second quarter, and Van had a breakdown of it too, where like it actually was it's like, wow, he could get it there. The DB undercut the route, but there was also in that combination, there was a guy going up the seam that he probably had if he sees him earlier. And I think some of that is just Stoops' message to a lot of those guys after the game. You win by a lot. You're wanting to keep it positive. And he was like, got a little hairy at times, but you can't replicate those live in-game reps. And that's big thing for Boley. We'll get to the defense eventually, but that was big for them. We saw Jason Patterson tote the rock some. Dante Dowdell had a thigh bruise, so Patterson got in the game, had about 80 yards and a touchdown. So good to see some other guys get involved. Are you ready to hand the ball to Boley for the rest of the year, Drew? Is it all 8 or nothing?
I won't say all 8, but definitely give him the ball for the next few games. And I assume he'll I don't know if he's going to be a world beater, but I assume it's going to look like he's the option. This one being Eastern Michigan, it was a great opportunity for him to get out there and get his first start of the season. But, I'm not forming any huge opinions over what they did against a team that was 0-2 and just lost to an FCS team. But you certainly give him the reins until he shows you that you should take him from him. I know Stoops has to be delicate with Calzada right now. That's why I didn't go all in. I know some fans are like, just name him the starter, but he's got to manage a locker room and personalities, and
right. You
don't want Calzada learning in a press conference after a game that he's benched. So Stoops will have that conversation when it's time. But you all are hear everything Stoops says. He's saying it without saying it.
Yeah,
I mean, even going back to I want to see Cutter Boley a week ago. He's dropping the clues that that's what he's doing without actually making it firm, so he can kind of handle that situation appropriately.
Yeah, like that. We know Mark Stoops. He wasn't going to come in there and do that right off the jump. And you know what? Good, because I think the part that is important there is like it's a reciprocal relationship, and Calzada was reciprocating, right? He wasn't on the sideline pouting. Stoops said he tried to throw after some practices this week, and his arm wasn't responding. But they asked him, like, hey, can you be our, emergency quarterback just in case, right? Like, the guy knows the offense. He might be turning around and hand the ball off a lot, but he at least knows how to manage it if, things really got hairy for him. So I thought that was good. And then Brandon Ramsey, he was, like, sitting right behind the bench, and he noticed that Calzada was, like, on the sideline being very active throughout the game, like being a resource for Boley. I also just love that Brandon Ramsey was sitting behind the bench at the game. Like that guy.
I saw him tailgating. He's got a bougie tailgate too.
Really?
Brandon Ramsey is doing Catterdays right. I saw him twice on Saturday. We got him in the front row behind the bench, and we got him hanging with all the Lexington elite before the game.
That surprises me. He strikes me as a guy who like brings it to go, or like a rotisserie chicken from Kroger, and just like has a cooler of beer and a lawn chair, and just like sits there with the radio on, listening to the pregame shows, getting ready for the game.
Who knows? He probably did that too. He might have taken a rotisserie chicken to that nice tailgate.
Rotisserie chicken we don't give it enough credit for being awesome. I don't know about you, like I need to get to where I can start making that a bring home for the kids to eat. I think the bone in the chicken though is just they're kids. They see a bone in something and just say, not for them.
That's why you got to stick with the chicken nuggets, chicken fingers for a while.
Yeah. Also, look at you missed out too by like working hard and getting done early, because there may have been some leftover chicken wings that got passed out in the press box at the end of the night.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Nice for you all.
Oh, huge news. And it's not something that I really wanted to eat at 3 a.m. It feels like a bad decision for the next day, but it's like, hey, I've got a couple chicken wings. I'm going to eat them, by God.
Listen, there's times we're in that press box. We'll eat anything. I mean, our loyal listeners know that you served us hot dogs that were taken away by the health department. We ate those. When it's 1 a.m. and we're trying to get posts out, we'll eat anything. Please feed us at Kroger Field. We're hungry.
A couple posts that we got out that I think are worth mentioning. Injury situation. I mentioned Calzada off the jump. Who knows how long that injury is going to be around to where he can or can't throw, but not ideal for the throwing shoulder to be dinged up like that. Dante Dowdell, I mentioned, had a thigh bruise. Stoops essentially said it was kind of a precaution to pull him in the third quarter. Like, why risk it? And that was similar too to Ryan Nichols. And this one I'm a little bit more worried about for multiple reasons. But at least the way they talked about it, it sounded like a soft tissue where his hamstring's a little tight, and they didn't want to get a pulled
can linger.
Yeah, that's one that hangs around, a hamstring or a groin. Those are just like, they don't really go away. I know he's going to get weekend change to kind of let it get right. But that's a guy you need. You didn't have DJ Waller either, and
hamstring there.
Yeah, and they got exposed without either of those guys on the field.
Yeah, I think I'll be interested to see it, but they played Maryland transfer Kevis Thomas, and that's when you felt like Eastern Michigan had most of their success. That's where the big 64-yard double move pump touchdown came from. And then once Grant Godfrey, true freshman, came in the second half and really kind of, I think, solidified things until they had the last drive where Kentucky had the 2s and 3s and they scored.
Grant Grayton.
Sorry, Grant Grayton. Great. That's going to be hard. That one's going to be tricky. And Grant Godfrey also played some linebacker, played 20-plus snaps, I believe. But Grant Grayton, true freshman cornerback, helped solidify things a little bit. But, yeah, you're worried about, I think, corner depth. Entering the season, you were a little worried about it. If something would happen to the starters and then, two guys, two of your top three were out all of a sudden, a couple series into that game. And so, yeah, I think they really struggled right there. And I think you look big picture, Nick, at the defense. Stoops and Brad White both went on record and said the secondary is a strength. We really believe in the secondary. It's the strength of our football team. Has not played that way through 3 games. There's been some good moments, specifically, Ty Bryant has really made some plays for them. And even Ryan Nichols, I think he's made some plays for them early in the year. But they need that group to be playing better football, because you look at some of the passing numbers they're giving up, it's concerning what they're doing, because they need that group to be good and to be playmakers. And they're getting some plays, specifically first possession of football games. But they just need better. Tackling's been an issue on the perimeter throughout the year, and then they're giving up too many. Typically, when Kentucky's at their best, they're not giving up explosive plays, and they're giving up a good amount of explosive pass plays through 3 games, and that, to me, that's concerning moving forward.
I wanted to mention too with Grayton is he did have one of those tackles on a hitch that it was a 6-yard gain and it stayed a 6-yard gain. He got the guy right to the ground. They called a shot right to him when he got in, and he held his own, and then they tried the trick play, the throwback, which that is like the most. You want to talk about the easiest way to get a freshman is you do a quarterback throwback and you run it right at that guy, but he sniffed it out and was assignment sound. And I think that's probably the biggest issue I have right now with the secondary. And I think some of it's human nature. You're playing an overmatched opponent. You get a pick on the very first play. And so you kind of let your guard down a little bit, right? Like that. I'm not willing to shove them into the fire because they gave up yards against Eastern Michigan. That can happen in some games like this. The part that frustrates me is when there are very simple things that they're just not completely letting go by the wayside. They ran a concept, the slant concept, running back replaces. Does a little swing pass. JQ Hardaway fell for the eye candy, went to the zone, or went with the slant. Huge gain. They did the same exact thing just to the other side of the field a few drives later. That's the sort of stuff dude, you got to learn from your mistakes. Quit getting caught looking. And that's really, I think, the part that's frustrating is you shouldn't be having eyes this dirty when you're, 14 games into starting.
Yeah, just they're losing leverage on the perimeter.
Yeah.
All the time. So
keep that outside shoulder free, man.
Well, just not only that, just, you playing bad eyes and leaving your area. And so it's concerning. I think it's not what you thought it would be to this point. Now they need to get healthy at corner. If they can get all three guys, I think they would feel pretty good, but they haven't played a game with all three guys yet. They've played 3 games. Waller got hurt almost off from the jump against Toledo. And then, Nichols goes out against Eastern Michigan, and Waller and Nichols, both missed 4 games last year each.
Yeah. And I think Waller's was a similar situation. I'm getting. You remember when Dorian Baker was just had 2 years where it was just some sort of injury.
But that 1 year, he had the hamstring. The 1 year he missed 7-8 games.
It was like he played a week, and then they kept saying, "Well, we think he's going to be back," and then you look up and 2 months is gone. So I hope that's not the case for Waller because they're going to need him in SEC play. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, they just.
I thought.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was going to add. Call it the secondary need to prove. I thought Jordan Lovett played a pretty good game, and not just because he had a bunch of tackles, especially coming up and stopping the run, and then he made a jump on a pass that he didn't get his hands on, but he had an opportunity to add another takeaway for that defense. So while they're thin at corner, if there was someone in the back of the defense that played well, I thought Lovett had a pretty good game.
And he needed it too. I think from a confidence and moving forward standpoint, he did not have a great first 2 weeks of the season. So it was good to see him get right because he was the guy we expected to be the big pick guy, not Ty Bryant.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I just think the volume they're giving up explosive plays right now, they are not going to be able to overcome that against, their conference schedule. They're just not going to be able to overcome that. They couldn't overcome it against Ole Miss. They got to get that figured out because that's what the whole defense is based off of.
Yeah.
It's not giving those up. So
yeah.
they got to figure that out.
The first half yards was very concerning for a team that was absolutely terrible in their first 2 weeks. I mean, this is a winless football team that came into Lexington and outgained you in the first half.
Yeah.
I'm confident in this defense, but that's one that in the back of my brain, I'm like, is this defense what they need to be? Because this is Eastern Michigan. I mean, it's only getting harder.
I think they emptied the playbook clip in a lot of ways, Eastern Michigan, and they had, I think, a good plan for Kentucky. And I think it kind of caught Kentucky off guard, but eventually you wanted them to see just take over the game. And that never really came, even though they had some success, I think, to start the second half. And so it wasn't a good performance from the defense. Nick, you could probably touch on what Brad White said post-game, but they've got to play much better for this football team to have some success this year.
I've never seen him as distraught as he was after that game, where he's literally having to like bite his tongue from just letting him have it. Like he was very agitated, and he described them as day one mistakes, day one install mistakes, just not communicating, stuff that doesn't happen here. He was almost just shocked that it could get that bad, and that is concerning. I'm glad it at least happened against Eastern Michigan.
Yeah.
Like it's like, all right, well, at least it was against a team that you could outmatch. But I think though the worrisome part is that you saw them really pulling on the same rope in that Toledo game. But that was a solid performance where the kind of push-pull that you talk about of the levers to kind of even it out. It felt like everybody was working on the same page in that game. And Ole Miss kind of stressed it, and they did all right. But this one, it was rough. I mean, it was almost 300 yards in the first half. And I know they were like, it was way too much bend. You can do the bend, not break thing. And for the most part, they did force field goals. But it's Eastern Michigan, man. You cannot be giving up so many easy plays. Like, it just looked too easy for them, Drew.
It did. I mean, a lot of that at the end of the first half, what was it, 64 yards on one play? That was a killer. That was a one-off mistake there. But it is concerning knowing a team that's so bad and couldn't beat Long Island last week at home comes in and has 294 or whatever in the first half. We didn't mention him, but also defensively, moving a little closer to the line of scrimmage, on the line of scrimmage. I thought Humphrey Grace played well and had a nice chase down sack on their quarterback, Noah Kim, too. That was one of the highlights of a defense that is going to be yelled at a lot for the next 2 weeks. I thought that was a highlight as well.
I think the defensive front in general, Nick, has been, I would say, a pleasant surprise. I think they've been a little bit better than expected to this point. Like, I think Tavian Gadsden is playing really good football as
Khalil
kind of your backup defensive tackle. Khalil Saunders is playing the best football of his career. I think David Gusta and Marquise Humphrey Grace, you have seen why people wanted them. I think I've liked what I've seen from pass rushing at the edge with Cam Olds and Steven Souls. And I think the linebacker play has been probably better than we thought it would be.
Gerard Smith Gerard
Smith's had some moments too. Yeah.
He lowered the shoulder on Saturday. And the other part too, like it doesn't show up in the stat column, but there were a lot of quarterback pressures where like that guy was just a good athlete and got away from him.
Kim slippery in the pocket. He did a good job extending plays. But on the Humphrey Grace sack, what he does is to kind of bail out, run, backwards. But if you can get him on the ground, then it's just like having a 15-yard penalty or something. You can just the drive's over at that point because then you've got him 2nd and 20 plus. And that's what happened there. So they finally got him on one. But yeah, Kim started games at Michigan State. Like there was a time in his career where he was looking like he could be potentially an NFL draft pick. And I think you saw some of what he could do in that game.
And the part that I liked about the Gray sack is that he had gotten beaten before, and there was very much I'm not letting you get by me this time. And that's before you play Lenora Sellers, it's good that you got to see some of that and feel that, because it's one thing and obviously he's a much different player. He's going to be he's a monster to try to tackle. I'm expecting him to be back by the time 2 weeks comes around.
You never know with those concussions. You just don't know.
It's true, but
ask Brock Vandegrift how getting hit like that turns out.
Oh man, I saw James Pierce get a sack on Sunday, it was Sunday Night Football with the Falcons, and I was just like, I've got PTSD. I've seen this before. Well, I'm going to chase a rabbit, but first I'm going to tell you about my old Kentucky home repair, because if I get chasing that rabbit, I'm not going to be able to come back from it. My old Kentucky home repair has been your partner for any home project, proudly serving the Bluegrass region since 2008. They offer handyman services, home repairs, remodels, and more. So whether you want to do a big blowout, like we might be cooking up something at the Roush House in the not so distant future, or hey, I've got a light switch here. I don't really know how to fix this thing. Mellow Kentucky Home Repair. They got you covered for any anything you need fixed around the house, we're not handyman. Let the handyman at my old Kentucky Home Repair, myoldkyhomerepair.com take care of you. The rabbit I wanted to chase was actually in the NFL because look at Wan'Dale Robinson.
Big game.
The Giants finally decided to let him run deep.
I can't believe they lost that. I mean, I was obviously zoned in on Bengals, but every time I looked up, it seemed like the Giants were in control. So I just couldn't believe they lost that game. And then total shootout, and then neither team can move the ball in overtime.
Yeah, which is
how brutal loss. Brutal loss. It seems like time's ticking on Dayball up there.
I'm just glad they let Wan'Dale eat because he had 10 targets, 8 catches, career high 142 yards. Hit a 50-yard bomb, one of the moon balls from Russ Wilson that set up a score, and then he had the go-ahead touchdown with 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Is one of those things that, yes, we know that Wan'Dale is good about catching routes underneath, but he's also pretty fast. Why don't you let him run down the seam and blow by guys? And they finally did it.
Yeah, I think that had to be his best career game. So yeah, he whenever they do make the switch to Dart, which will probably come at some point next few weeks, he's going to be one of the top 2 targets. And even Neighbors, we know how good Malik Neighbors is. He had a huge game yesterday as well.
One thing that shouldn't get overlooked either is Drew Phillips is a bad he is a bad man. I mean, CeeDee Lamb was talking all kinds of junk before the game because Phillips tackled him last year without the ball. It hurt his shoulder. He ended up season ended early, a couple weeks early. And he was like, I got something for him. What does Phillips do? He says, I got something for you. And he picked off a pass to CeeDee Lamb. That, I know you were cheering for the other team, Drew, but that was awesome.
That was awesome. And I was happy that Wan'Dale had the huge game. Happy for Drew Phillips. Even before the game started, just CeeDee Lamb, a top 3-4 receiver in the NFL, calling out Drew Phillips, just seems like a big get for Drew Phillips to get on that level with just being talked about. Yeah, and then the game comes through and he gets the big interception. So even though I had Dallas in a parlay, and if anyone listens to Cover Zero, we do a survivor pool, and they were my pick. And Matt spent 5 minutes making fun of my pick last week. So really, I couldn't lose that game. I had a 5-leg parlay and trash talk with Matt on the line. But I was happy for the 2 UK guys. The Giants, going to be a long year, I'm afraid, but they both played great.
He also had 11 tackles in the game. 11. That's a lot of tackles.
There's a lot of tackles. What Wan'Dale? You said about 8 catches for Wan'Dale. I'm glad. I don't know how much longer Russell Wilson will be throwing the ball there after that horrible pass he made to end the game. But I'm glad he looked Wan'Dale's way because Wan'Dale's much better than he's been so far at the Giants. It's looking like he's going to get a lot more looks. They were targeting him all afternoon.
Can we also just say that it's kind of Bush League that Brandon Aubrey can make 64-yard field goals? Like, what's the max we're going to get to? Like, we thought Justin Tucker was incredible. Like, 64? I mean, can he make a 70-yarder? 80? Like, what is too far for Brandon Aubrey?
The Jacks kicker made a 70 in preseason.
Brandon Aubrey's would have been good from 80. And I don't know, did you see the play that set it up? I was so mad. They had 2 timeouts and 14 seconds left. It's like, oh, we can definitely get in field goal range. They ran a little draw that even threw the announcers off, but the running back intentionally fell only 2 yards forward. There were 9 seconds left. They were like, oh, he had a lot of room he probably could have gotten 10 more yards, honestly. And I'm pulling my hair out. Like, how do you botch this? You're right there in field goal range. They trot out Aubrey, and we're like, oh, we're just going to do the 64-yarder. Not even a question. That thing would have been good from 10, 15 yards farther back.
Yeah, I don't know how locked in you all were for this one, but like Liam Cohen had an interesting fourth quarter with Lawrence.
I was locked. I was locked.
So like he went for 4th down twice in the red zone, I believe. And I think both times were the right, like it was, no, he went for it low and then he punted on around midfield, both up 3. Where he punted, I don't think he should have punted, but like going for it was the right decision. there at the end, because I think like the calculus kind of changes. If the other team goes up 6, they know if they have to score a touchdown, but if they're only down 3, they're willing to not be as risky. So they might settle for 3. So I think there's a way that you should do that, and you can win the game if you get, it's 4th and 4 or whatever. But he had the moment with Lawrence. I don't know if y'all saw the Trevor Lawrence moment with him, which was interesting. That was probably, if it wasn't for the Burrow storyline, I think that would have been like one of the bigger stories today, where he was doing one of these and yelling at him, and Lawrence just went like that and walked away. And then they didn't show the interaction after that, but it was an interesting, kind of game there, I think, for Cohen. I think like some of those mistakes kept the Bengals alive, and where they were trying to win it. And then he did his press conference after, he was pretty short with some of his answers.
I mean, Jags fans just have to be sick of Jake Browning. My God.
Yeah.
Twice. They got Jake Browning twice.
Yeah. 6 minutes, well, I guess not 6 minutes, but 95 yards, 2 4th down conversions. They get a nice little PI call. But yeah, he just finds a way. It's pretty crazy.
I mentioned the kicker, Aubrey. Cat's got a pretty good kicker.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I was a little worried too, Drew, that like Stoops had talked him up too much. But what was it a 45? What was the long field goal he had?
54, 51.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like that would have been good from 70. It was like an extra point.
Yeah, it's 51 yarder. Yeah, 51 yarder. You're right. And he had the doink that actually goes in too, showing that he even has the lucky bounce in his bag also. Just to be a true freshman that looks like, or I guess he's a redshirt freshman, but first time getting the job. I mean, respectfully, he looks like a little kid out there. I say that with nothing but respect. It makes it even more impressive to me that he's out there booming these 50-yarders, and he's now 6 for 6 in 3 games. When Stoops had it rolling, you had Austin McGinnis, a leg you could count on. Rayner came through and was reliable, and it looks like they've now got a third that they can really trust.
Yeah, I think just the place kicking, punting, and then I think Ty Bryant has shored up some of their hidden yardage issues on punt return. Special teams has been good. Like it's been good. They're in a position where I think you feel like they could win you one of these close games if you play in a bunch of them.
And I know
LaRose had a bit of a shank last week. If you throw that one out, the two kicking operations have been close to perfect. If I'm not mistaken, he averaged over 50 a punt in this past game too. I mean, he was bombing them. So throw out his one shank, and both guys have done really well through 3 weeks.
And
he was at 50.7, but he did have the one touchback on I believe the one that they wanted, so you lost some net there. Yeah, you lost a little net there, but yeah.
Stoops said after the game too, people forget that Eastern Michigan tried to do a fake punt. That's because it was maybe not the best idea after they had gotten, was it a false start or a delay of game, or they had some pre-snap penalty that was going to make it even harder. And I like that Stoops said in the post game, he was like, yeah, we had worked a fake punt during the week, and the guy who made the tackle, and I forget who it was, wasn't with it, really. I forget what was the word. Like Stoops said he was a little shaky. He was like, Coach Bowler got after him, and we repped it a couple more times, and it paid dividends. So good to see quality special teams play. I don't know what a smooth 7-iron is. I don't have that in my bag. But that's what it looked like when Cowie went out there to kick. And I know it doinked off there, but it looks smooth. It's not like, sometimes it feels like there's a lot of got to be a lot of punch and power. I mean, he just goes out there and just nice and easy. So that could come in handy when the Cats travel down to South Carolina. We found out today that's going to be a 7:45 kickoff. The SEC Network special. Feels like the game is always the SEC Network special. Sans last year. I mean, 2014 was that night at Kroger Field with Tom Hart and them on the call. I can't remember before the 2014 game, but it feels like this game. I guess Heartline to Cobb was like a 3:30 kick.
Yeah.
But this game's almost always a night game. Williams-Brice Stadium will be rocking, but they got rocked in a night game by Vandy. Diego Pavia, they just ran it down their throats, scored 24 unanswered. Obviously, Lenora Sellers' injury is going to play a big part in that. I mean, you lose that guy, their offense. I mean, he is their offense for all intents and purposes. So I think the more shocking part was just that Luke Doty is still there. I mean, was Wolford coaching at South Carolina when Doty first got his reps?
But he started against Kentucky in 21. So I think he was on the roster in 2020. So yeah, he would have had to been on the roster when Wolford was there.
It's crazy. It's crazy that he stuck around to be the backup too. Usually, like those guys just leave. But it's like,
well, remember they tried to play him at receiver.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Good times.
They have a thing there for wanting to play guys the wrong position, South Carolina. But it was CJ Works, Nick, who made the special teams tackle on the fourth.
Okay.
He has played and showed up a little bit. So that was a big recruiting win. He played at Douglas. It was just kind of seemed like just a so-so year for him as a senior.
Mm-hmm.
But he's shown up a little bit, which is, I think, a good development, specifically that position, that edge kind of position. Because he has all the tools, I think, potentially to turn into something. It's like a really good player. But yeah, the South Carolina game, I think for both sides, Nick, whoever loses that game between Kentucky and assuming South Carolina doesn't pull an upset against Missouri Saturday, whoever loses that game is in a world of hurt, potentially, if you look at the future schedules for both teams. Both teams has brutal slates after that. Mm-hmm. Both teams could be looking at Kentucky 0-2. South Carolina could be looking at 0-3 SEC start. It's danger territory. And South Carolina's offense has been massive issue early in this year. And so to me, that seems like, this is typically an under series.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably how it's going to play out again. It's going to be a slugfest. It might come down to which team makes the fewest mistakes.
And in 2 weeks, Shane Beamer could already have a foot in Blacksburg at that point. So, I mean, they get killed by Missouri on Saturday, and then they just really start spiraling.
Yeah, South Carolina's last 4 offensive possessions, Nick, in this game. Turnover on downs, fumble loss, interception.
Yeah.
So, like, everyone, like, Vanderbilt, you want to say, oh, Vanderbilt pumped them, and pump up the Diego Pavia offense, but really it was South Carolina's offense. Like, they scored a touchdown on their opening drive, then went interception, punt, missed field goal, punt, turnover downs, fumble, interception. So 10 possessions, they had 4 turnovers, and then 2 more turnover on downs. So, yeah, not great.
No, not great at all. You mentioned Brent Pryde getting the axe, Mr. Franklin. I love that storyline is going to be out there because and there's a member of the media who I'm not a very big fan of that had to do his inside sources about Beamer and all this. And like, you would have to be an idiot to leave the SEC to go coach an ACC school, like a certified dumbass.
And one with major money issues with an AD that's also on the hot seat.
Yeah, like that is a mess at Virginia Tech. And when they had the sourced reporting, it was like he's only going to leave unless they run him out of town. And it's like, would they run Beamer out of town after the 9-win year? I don't know if it would be that quickly. But Virginia Tech is a mess, and I know that was one of your season win total bets, like it. That's
we're gonna have to eat that one.
Yeah, at least early.
The over.
At least early.
Yeah, we're gonna eat that.
Yeah,
one.
but you gotta. That's why I hate the win totals, because you gotta sit and look at that damn thing on your app all the way until January.
Yeah.
It's like just delete it. Just take the money. I just don't want to look at it. Just get it out of here.
Just mocking you the whole time.
There was some news regarding your favorite NFL team since we've been here.
Oh.
Looks like it's Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz on Sunday. So you got that.
What happened to McCarthy?
He's out. Per Adam Schefter.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Exciting matchup, though. The Carson Wentz Browning matchup. That's exciting.
Browning got cut by the Vikings. And 2 years ago, when the Bengals beat the Vikings, fourth quarter comeback, Browning got caught on camera going absolutely ballistic about saying they should never cut me. So
I remember that. Yeah.
So that's good because that was T. Higgins made a crazy catch and that ended up winning the game that day. So yeah, that'll be a storyline this week. Looking forward to it.
Carson Wentz. What doesn't that feel like an eternity ago?
Wasn't he on the? Was he the Chiefs backup last year?
That I had to look it up for a second because I thought that meant you were playing the Chiefs and Mahomes was hurt. I was like, when did Mahomes get hurt? Because there was a very funny thought, like, what if Carson Wentz comes in for the Chiefs and wins them the Super Bowl against the Eagles, which would have been. I mean, imagine being a Philly fan and losing a Super Bowl to Carson Wentz.
Yeah, that could have been an all-timer.
It would have rolled. Carson Wentz, didn't he get married in Lexington?
He got engaged on top of the castle. He copied off
engaged.
Is reading off your paper.
Even though he did it first, I maintain that he copied off me. He's kind of doing the Rajon Rondo into career, just different team every season for like the last 5 or 6 years. Once he left Philly, it's just he's popping up everywhere. Colts, what are you, Colt?
Yes.
Yep.
Chiefs.
Redskins or Commanders.
Yeah.
Yes. Started to them. Yeah.
He's going to do it all.
He did a thing where he was like working out for like NFL teams to show them that he still got it. And he had on an Eagles helmet with Washington shorts and a like Colts shirt. Like,
don't forget the Rams.
Oh, we had
the Rams. Yeah. He was Rams backup.
I'm telling you, he's everywhere.
Yeah, I've pulled it up. Philly, Indy, Washington, LA, Rams, Vikings. So this
is like one a year, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 team in 6 years for Mr. Carson Wentz, the number 2 overall pick in the 2016 draft.
We did this at the end of 11 personnel because Chase Daniel was on the call for the game. Man, being a backup quarterback's a great gig. Like, where do I sign up? Please, a volunteer. Like Bo Allen. People were probably like, why would Bo Allen transfer back to Kentucky? Dude, that's a great gig. Just come in at the end of a blowout, hand it off a couple times, hang out at the team meetings, chop it up in the locker room.
What about Franklin County's own Logan Woodside, who Luckett, he's been with you, he's been with the Titans, but still just out there cashing checks.
Did he start games
for the Titans last year?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I was kind of wanting to keep him.
Where is
now? He's a Steeler now. But
yeah, I knew that.
I know when he was in Tennessee, he was truly like valuable. He's a good coach on the sideline, and when you're a backup that can bring that, that's why teams keep signing him. A guy that played it. He's the Toledo, right?
Yeah, Toledo.
Yeah, he was their all-time passer.
Believe so.
Yeah. Let that one get away. Hey, Drew, do you have a quarterback?
I do, and I ordered a shirt yesterday, but I don't have anything else. I have a quarterback, and I have nothing else.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have a coach. I got receivers that you hit them right in the number, and the ball still lands on the ground. I got Cam Ward, and that's all I got, but it's still exciting.
I like I.O. Manor, but
yeah, he actually big breakout game yesterday.
Yeah, the Cam Ward touchdown pass was the Cam Ward experience in one play.
Beautiful.
And that really is I'm a fan of a bad football team, so I'm just this is my one play that I'm like, okay, keep giving me hope. Keep coming. Kentucky football fans, we've been there before. That Cutter Boley throw to Josh Caddis on the sideline, I'm like, ooh, okay.
Why didn't we see a replay for the
I don't know.
Boley to Caddis in the back of the end zone?
And I'm wondering too if the angle, like if they were blocked by like the cheerleaders or something, where you couldn't, because basically, I think they were saying that he didn't, like he was kind of bobbling it, but you couldn't see it on the replay,
sure, right? I would just like to see that up close,
because that was a nice hell. And if he and after the game, Cutter was like, I need to be kind of a beat quicker on that and put it on a line so that he doesn't run out of end zone.
Yeah, I thought the throw to Willie on that first touchdown drive where they ran the 4 verts and he hit him up the seam was one of his better throws of the night because he He threw it on a line, put it on him, but you have to hit a small window there. But that
Mhm.
thing's going to be open if you can just hit it there. And you saw it, and you could just see, I think, with Boley, the level of difficulty throws he can make consistently and with relative ease. The deep ball to Harley Gilmore was put in a bucket. He hit a small window throw, I think, on a deep dig to Macklin. So you saw some of it, and just his throwing ability, I think, gives you confidence. Well, maybe they can figure something out where they can hit a couple big shot plays a game, and then that can just change the outlook completely for the offense. And then Seth McGowan in the red zone is turning into a weapon here. He's finishing drives with points when they're getting him the football down, when they get inside the 10.
Nick, you wrote a post about it, but for the people that didn't read it, the roommate situation and paying rent.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good story as we turn over to the Cutter Boley experiment.
Well, I like too that was that play to Willie. It's 3rd and 14 too that he makes that throw, and I kind of made the joke in the press box, and we're gonna keep making that joke, but it's like it's true that Cutter Boley grew up a Kentucky fan because he just wants to throw the ball to the tight ends, but like they're roommates, right? Like if there's a reason why you think there's chemistry, it's because there is. They're hanging out every day. They live together. When I'm in Lexington and if I see Cutter Boley around, I'm seeing Willie Rodriguez. Like there's not that's never not a thing. Willie, he wasn't. I think he was just in Lexington for something completely unrelated when he was a junior. And he said, "Yeah, Cutter picked me up and just kind of drove me around. We went and caught, threw some balls. He was showing me around town." Basically said that Cutter recruited him to be at Kentucky. Now they're roommates. They're hanging out all the time. They live with Caddis. They asked, it's like, did you feel like you threw it to one guy, you had to throw it to the other? Like you got him one touchdown. It's like, all right, I got to get the other roommate one now. And he's like, yeah, it wasn't the plan, but I'm glad it's going to be a peaceful night at the house tonight. So, great to see that connection's working. It needed to happen. We've talked about it on here. It needs to happen in part because the receivers are a little shaky. So glad that the tight end, like what we thought it could be, it manifested. They had 5 catches for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns between the two of them, and should have had a third, but the official hadn't started rolling the clock yet. So that would have been nice. A trifecta, getting Henry Boyer in the end zone as well.
If you go back and watch Rodriguez's touchdown, there was a little bit of favoritism because Boyer is wide open right in the middle of the end zone too, and it almost looks like Boley sees him, then sees the Rodriguez and throws to him. But that could have just as easily been Boyer's touchdown. They were both wide open on that play.
I do the big Caddis play down the sideline. Willie was wide open underneath, and Cutter's like, "No, I'm going for it," which I don't know. Like, do you like that in your quarterback? Like, it's clear he's aggressive and wants to make, like, there's no shyness when it comes to making difficult throws and a willingness to attempt them.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, a line you have to walk. Because you've got to take thumbs open underneath, take the positive gains. But this offense needs some big plays so much that you almost have to take those risks. When you have them, especially with Caddis, who's made some competitive contested catches early on this season. So you don't, throwing it to him, you don't hate. Now they just need to your point, Nick, the receiver position's gotta come on. To me, one interesting thing with Cutter, and we can see how he can stretch the field. Can someone step up and become like a deep threat for him? Is it going to be Gilmore? We saw one to him. We've seen Macklin in the past. Can it be anyone else? Can they find the player that can be the consistent deep threat for them? Because I think that could make a world of difference, specifically when you look at in a passing game that might get play action heavy and that they just need to hit on explosive plays and then be able to run it most of the time.
Speaking of running it most of the time, one more thing I wanted to get to before we get out of here. Seth McGowan's got 6 touchdowns now, the most in the SEC. Only Jonah Coleman from Washington has more rushing touchdowns this year in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Stoops said after the game, he's a guy that runs with a lot of energy. He's kind of wild in the way that he runs. you don't know what's going to come out. It's just between him and God. And I like that. That says it pretty well, right? Like I kind of don't know what he's doing down there, but it works. Man, I still like the real big long one. I thought he had it. He had one man to beat, and the guy made a great tackle, like 20 yards downfield. The safety played it perfectly, where I thought McGowan was going to get the big 40-yard touchdown, but he has been awesome, as good as advertised.
Yeah, 100% agree. But been nice to see. He's on 1,100-yard pace, rushing wise. So he's been a big add, and I think he can help their passing game eventually. They start maybe getting some screens to him, or they try to get him involved on a wheel route. Yeah, he's been, I think, their best player on offense at this point.
That's what I was about to say. I don't want to ask for too much because he's already been great, but I want to see him catch some passes too.
It makes me feel better. Like I saw some Ahmad Hardy stats today, and I wasn't really bitter about it. Like, you know what? We got a pretty good one too. I don't need to see your 5 touchdowns and 600 yards or whatever you've got through 3 games, Ahmad Hardy. We got a good one here. I'm sure Tennessee fans might be saying the same about Nico, which it's a real shame. It's a real shame they let him get away. Whew. He already got a coach fired.
That's going to go down as an all-time dumb move in this college football world we're in now. We knew it in the moment when he was doing it, that this is greedy. Dude, you're at Tennessee. You've got the keys. The fans love you. Just ride it out. I'm sorry you don't have another million. But he's kind of getting what he wanted for being greedy.
Can Tennessee take him back? I mean, Joey Aguilar threw 2 picks, guys. I think you need to get Nico back, right? You can't have a quarterback doing that in a big game against Georgia, throwing 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I think that we talked about the quarterback experience. That was the Joey Aguilar kind of I expected. He's going to hit on some big plays, but he's going to make some mistakes, and we saw that play out against Georgia. Kind of crazy. Like if Georgia went in a shootout, I don't think anybody had in the cards. So if they can do that, they could be a problem this year. But it's so early in the season, we're still trying to learn who's good and who's not, and this and that. But
that was awesome college football Saturday.
Tennessee lost the game they won against Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of snake bit against Georgia, and that's the game they typically win against Kentucky.
Oh man, it really warmed my heart.
Has anybody been more afraid of anything in the world than Tennessee's kicker was that kick? I saw a great tweet today where it's like the TV broadcast and it's just his face, and it's a Tennessee fan. They said he looks like he's about to storm the beach at Normandy. He's like, you can see it in his eyes. He is terrified of that field goal before he kicks it. And that's why they got the outcome that they did.
I did feel better that he made the one in overtime, because if he misses the one in overtime, then that would have been hard to recover from.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to transfer.
Yeah, at least you make that one, and then maybe you can have a moment later. But if you miss that one, that could have been – the whole loss would have been blamed on him. At least you can say, well, we had a chance. We couldn't stop him there at the end.
Tennessee lost. We all win. Kentucky win. They beat Eastern Michigan. They're not going to lose this Saturday. We've got a bye week. So things are a little slower when it comes to press conferences and whatnot. Stoops isn't going to be on his call-in show tonight. Bush Hamden and a couple other players are stepping in. But we will hear from Stoops on Wednesday. Let's see when we can get updates from them, and then we'll be back with 11 personnel then. So until then, he's Drew Franklin. That's Adam Luckett, and I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.